Context: I, 25F, have been married to my husband, 30M, 1 year together for 3. We had our baby daughter 6 months ago after a very complicated pregnancy. I should probably make it clear that I am a tan curly-haired Latina while my husband is a blonde blue-eyed white man. I've gotten along greatly with my husband's family aside from, you guessed it, my Mill. She's always been very cold with me even though I tried to be very nice. She's even gone as far as to calling me a spick. My husband has always been on my side and always shut her down whenever she made rude remarks or backhanded comments. 2 things that really struck a nerve with me were when we announced our engagement. For context, it was at a family dinner. Everyone was ecstatic except my Mill. Instead of congratulating us in a proper way, she said in a very harsh tone, "Oh wow, honestly I didn't think it would last. Congrats." I guess this really hurt, as even though I know she doesn't like me, I was more than excited to officially become part of the family. And when we announced our pregnancy at a family cookout, while everyone congratulated us, she started crying and went inside the house. I followed to make sure she was okay, as I thought she would for once be overjoyed. And oh boy was I wrong. When I asked if she was okay, she went completely off on me, saying I was ruining the bloodline and that she refused to believe her bloodline would be ruined by a spick like me. I was floored by her comment and went back out without saying a word. I told my husband about what Mill said and he was visibly upset and told me that her opinion didn't matter and that the baby and I was all he needed. Anyways, fast forward 6 months, our beautiful baby girl was thriving. She had beautiful tan skin, blue eyes and long black luscious curls. I don't think I have ever fallen in love the way I did when I finally got to meet her. She was definitely worth everything. Anyways, my Mill always hated my daughter's hair and would make comments about how my daughter's hair looked like a nest and suggested cutting it off. I always shut her down, of course, because her hair is very thick and beautiful. Well, now to this situation. My husband's job requires him to travel out of state. I also work, so I would always leave my daughter with my parents when I have to go to work. One day I get a call that my mother was in a car accident and was rushed to the hospital. I drove to my parents' house as fast as I could to get my dad and my daughter. I obviously didn't want to take my daughter to the hospital, so I called my husband and he suggested leaving our daughter with his parents for a while and he would be on the first flight back. Luckily there was a flight the same day, so my daughter wouldn't be with my in-laws for much time. I should also add this would be the first time Mill is with the baby without one of us there. I drop the baby off and head to the hospital with my father. If anyone was wondering, my mom wasn't severely injured, just a minor concussion and a fractured wrist. But if you've ever been to the hospital, you'd know that the waiting time is incredibly long. So about 5 hours later we are finally good to go home. My husband is on his way from the airport and we decided to meet up at in-laws' house. When I got to the house I knocked on the door multiple times but to no avail, which is weird because the lights are on. I start calling my Mill because I thought maybe she didn't hear me. I called 4 times and no answer. So now I'm starting to get worried. I start banging on the door like a crazy person when my Phil pulls up into the driveway and asks. I started explaining to him and he quickly opens the door. I start yelling for my Mill and I get no response. I run upstairs while Phil searches downstairs. When I reach the bedroom, what I saw completely broke my heart. I see my mother-in-law trying to wake my baby, panicking. I look at my daughter and she is completely red, swollen, her hair is short and blonde. The moment I saw this I started yelling like a crazy person, grabbed my daughter and yelled at Phil to call an ambulance. As I run down the stairs with my baby, my husband arrived. I'm screaming and crying, spewing incoherent words. After what felt like eternity, the ambulance arrived and we rushed to the ER. They took my baby and started doing everything they could to save her. Mill stayed home and my parents went home to rest, which is understandable. I was finally able to explain to them what had happened, and it's safe to say both my husband and Phil were furious. About 2 hours and my Mill arrives, and without thinking I jump on her and start screaming and hitting her. My husband manages to get me off of her and Phil escorts her out of the hospital. The doctors finally come out and tell me my daughter will okay. She simply had an allergic reaction to all the chemicals, so they had to shave off the remainder of her hair. He also says that if I hadn't found her when I did, her chances of making it would have been close to none. My husband and I were so relieved to hear our baby girl was okay. We stayed overnight in the hospital and were good to go. When we got home, my husband and I had a serious conversation and decided we would go no contact with Mill and I would leave my job to stay with my daughter until she was ready to start school, as I no longer wanted to take any chances. After a while our phones started getting bombarded with messages from relatives, some taking our side and the rest taking Mill's side, saying that I was an asshole for attacking her as it wasn't going to help my baby. We took it to social media and shared that we would be going no contact with Mill and filing for a restraining order, and we would not hesitate to block and go and see anyone else who decides to defend her action. I also wanted to add that Phil has decided to divorce Mill as he cannot stand to look at her, so at least my daughter will get to grow with her paternal grandfather. Anyways, here is where I want to ask, was I wrong for attacking her? Should I have just yelled at her to leave and taken a different approach? AITA? Sorry for any grammar mistakes or typos. English is not my first language. Hello, I thought I would provide some more info. It's only been 2 days since this situation has happened. Yes, we have filed. Unfortunately, it is taking longer than needed. Yes, the doctors spoke to me regarding filing. They were the ones who advised us to do We were going to anyways. Yes, we are suing, although some of you brought up a good point of waiting for Phil's divorce to be finalized so that he is not affected. I'm not sure if he will be affected either way, but I will be asking my lawyer about this. We have blocked a few relatives and have blocked Mill as well. Hi, so I will no longer be replying to comments and decided I would log out until I have enough information for an update. Thank you so much for your support.